First of all, Boxing Day off, Christmas Day at home with your family. What was it like not to have football as part of your Christmas package?
Well, it was very strange, wasn't it? And I think Christmas Day is one of them where all managers and players, some Christmas days you've been in, some you haven't. Boxing Day is the opposite. You're always at football on Boxing Day, and I took the opportunity to go and watch a match as well. So busy for me and Paul Rayner, but we give the opportunity to give the players a couple of days with their family, and we'll see if it's repaid over the next 2 or 3 days.
Did it feel like there was a positive mood in training off the back of the Rochdale win and the players having that day at home with their families?
Yeah, we hope so. We come in with a bit of a giggle. We started off with the Secret Santa all around the playing squad, so there was a few little high jives and a few little bits of laughter, but went up and trained. The boys trained well, and we're looking forward to it.
In terms of playing again, obviously, as you were travelling back from Rochdale, we were hearing this news of Tier 4. Does it feel like to you that the testing and the protocols are rigorous enough for what feels like a slightly more threatening time in terms of the virus with this second strain?
No, I think we all know, and I've many times I discuss with my family. I say we're called elites. I don't know why we're called elite. We've not been tested by the EFL since October, and it's only when we have a reason to test individuals here, such as the staff, and we do test the staff every 2 or 3 weeks because we're all around the players, and the players as and when any symptoms of people that are around, then they're tested immediately. But we're not elite. We're not treated that way. We're different from the Premier League, but we have to go on with it. I know we've got a full testing programme the first week in January for everyone in the group, which is an EFL directive, and we'll take part in that. But we've certainly not been treated as we should have been over the last 2 or 3 months.
So you've had to kind of go off your own back in terms of doing the testing, rather than it being the league saying every however many weeks everyone's getting tested. Yeah,
and I think it's okay for, I understand why supporters will say, well, why don't we test the players weekly at a cost the odds, which is a private lab doing our testings. It's almost £200 per player, per member of staff. So at 25 people at £3,000 a time is, and I'd ask every supporter, let's go and try and raise £300 for charity tomorrow, never mind £3,000 for a testing programme that really should be done on a more regular basis than what it's done. But all we can do is follow the procedures laid down by the EFL, which we've been very rigorous to follow, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. And we're all reading stories today that this vaccine should have kicked in and everyone looked after by March, April. So let's hope that time is expedited and comes quicker.
Yeah, Carl Dempsey was saying that football feels a bit like an escape in the current time. For you, does it feel right to be playing football right now? I guess it is that distraction for some people, but on the other hand, there are those health concerns.
Yeah, I think when it comes to playing the actual football, I think the chances of catching the COVID virus out in the fresh air and a professional environment, I think they were telling me is less than 0.03%. So it's very minor. You probably catch it a lot more just walking in a supermarket or going to get fuel. So, and those statistics bear that up. So the football side of it's fine. We just have to make sure that in between times that we're all doing what we should be doing, as I've said many times on BBC Radio Kent to our supporters and everyone who's got in football interest. This virus is not going to go away on its own. It's ripping families apart. It's seen loved ones go far too early. And we need to do everything that we can to help ourselves, first and foremost, and help everyone around it.
On the football side of things, how are you looking in terms of your squad? Because I know that with the break that you've had, you were hoping perhaps a couple more members of your squad and key members might be fit enough for these next couple of games.
Well, we've certainly got Vidane Oliver 100% fit now. His was only a bit time, so Vidane's running about in training yesterday, trying to impress to play against Northampton. Jordan Graham has got a chance of being available to play at some stage tomorrow. If not, he'll certainly be fit for when we go down to Plymouth. So we've got one or two that's coming back and no more fresh ones. So that, we're very limited. We won't fill a bench at Northampton tomorrow. We've already done the calculations, who's available, who's not. We'll be at least 1, maybe 2 players short. But we have to just get on with that until we can't do nothing about it until the 2nd or 3rd of January.
So have you got a couple of other fresh injury worries, and what's the latest on Dominic Samuel?
I think Dominic's going to be out for a while. His scan prognosis wasn't good at all. So he's in the further consultant's visit this afternoon, but he certainly won't be available in the short term. Henry Woods is we've had to allow him to go into his own little minor operation. He didn't say it's an operation; he'll be out for 2 or 3 weeks. But Henry's not been one of the lads you would say has played, and started games, but he was certainly getting closer to that, and this has been a bit of a hiccup for him. But yeah, we're no further forward in terms of the main ones other than Jordan and Graham and Viday and Oliver being 100% fit again.
Yeah, because Mellis had a bit of a recurrence of a knee problem, didn't he?
Yeah, Mellis could be fit to be available at Plymouth and then drop out. We just don't know where we're going with this. The consultant said they'd found us a remedy to get through the season, and there we are 2 weeks after playing football, he's out again. So we just need to treat that on a game-by-game basis, and it's unfortunate because he's a top player.
In terms of the team that you'll look to field at Northampton, clearly 11 guys that started against Rochdale played oh so well, and we'll be hoping to have their names on the team sheet. But at the same time, you got Viday and Oliver, as you touched on, wanting to play against his former club. So I guess some nice selection headaches for yourself and Paul Rayner.
Yeah, does it change with Viday being fit? Does it change if Jordan Graham's available? These are things that we need to consider. It's a different type of opposition. How the play is totally different. Rochdale's a total football side. Northampton, by Keith's own admission, are a more direct and physical side. Is how they play. And it takes all types of systems and shapes to win games, as we see from the Premier League down. So we've had a good look at what Northampton's all about. Myself and Paul have studied them to a lengthy degree. And then we'll pick a team that we believe can win it. Doesn't follow day, doesn't follow night, or the opposite way of to say that we're going to play the team that played at Rochdale.
In terms of Northampton then, what have you made of them coming up from League Two? Had a reasonable start, but a couple of sticky results of late.
Yeah, listen, I read from a distance. I'm not too far from Northampton as in terms of my own home, but I look at that and I can't believe that Keith Cole gets stick. I've said it last week and I'll say it this week, is that he worked wonders when he went in Northampton. It has to be said by some brilliant support by a brilliant chairman, Calvin Thomas. Some brilliant support. But what does Keith do? He delivers, and they got them promoted, and they've come up and they started incredibly well. I think everyone's saying, here we go. Here's going to be the team that comes up, and there's a chance of going straight up again. And then if it's 2 or 3 results, it's set them back, and it happens to also coincide with 2 or 3 injuries that Keith's had as well. So I personally think they'll be fine. I think they are, and equally, if the minimum they should be is in League One. Northampton as a football club. So we'll go there tomorrow night. We get the benefit. There's no fans. It's a disadvantage to Northampton, but it's a benefit to us. But in football, it's a shame, really, because there's nothing better than fans being in the stadium and creating an atmosphere. So, but we'll go there. We'll work extremely hard. Hopefully, we work as hard as the opposition. And if we do, then we'll get the quality at the back.
A couple of 4-0 defeats for them in their last couple of games. Didn't play Boxing Day, but what are the kind of the threats in terms of some of the personnel that Northampton have got? Are you expecting?
Well, they've got lots of personnel, haven't they? We've got a couple of them that we know very well. They've got 2 wide players that are very good. They've got Danny Rose, who was absolutely tremendous for me at Mansfield, and tried to sign him at Peterborough. It fell through at the very last seconds of that transfer deal. But they've got some quality over the pitch. Big Keane Vulture at centre back, who's a big, strong boy. So they're strong throughout and organised, and they'll be very efficient under Curley. We know that. So they've had a couple of adverse results, but listen, everyone beats everyone in this league, and results can often go by who gets the first goal, can often go when you get that goal as to whether you get it back in games. And I think if you look at the Lincoln last game, I think they scored 2 very late goals. So it puts a really unflattering look on the final scoreline as opposed to what the game was.
And in terms of your last game, your skipper Carl Dempsey described that performance as a benchmark for the team going forwards. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it was a benchmark in terms of intensity, in terms of passing the ball with a high degree of accuracy. And we did that very well. We've also done it in other parts of the games earlier in the season, but it was probably the first time we've taken it as near 90 minutes as we can. So that's the benchmark for individuals. That's what they get measured against. Some will get measured against individually better performances previously in the season, but as a team, that will be the benchmark for the ingredients I've just described.
Yeah, because consistency was something that you were saying pre the Rochdale game that you hadn't had and wanted to see a bit more of. So I guess over the next couple of games, a lot of solid performances, even if they're sevens or eights, would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you come away from a game as a manager, then if you're using that little gem to say how to rate my players individual out of 10, I think if you've got a lot of sevens or eights, you've normally won the game. What I do know is if you've got 3 and 4 down below 5, then you lose the game. It's fine margins. Christmas is always a time where it's good to get some points on the board. We know ourselves, we sit 6 points off the playoff group, game in hand to probably make that 3 versus one of them that's in there. It's tough for us to get there with the lowest resources, but we're going to try and find a way to win some games. There's 2 tough ones coming up, Northampton and Plymouth. And if we come out there within 6 points of the playoffs, we'll have done very well.
And just finally from me, touched on your previous attempts to sign Danny Rose, and we've obviously got January around the corner. Have you been able to, with this period of time that you haven't had any matches, do a little bit more digging and start the wheels in motion for some more of those transfers?
Yeah, we're speaking to clubs now. I'm speaking to either sporting directors or managers, agents. Of course, the last person to get involved in the loop is the player himself. So we're finding a lot at the minute of the players that we are targeting could be available, would be available, subject to those clubs strengthening their group. So there's always a little ladder reaction or a chain reaction as to when you can strengthen if you're going to try and improve. But the one caveat we've added to it, we're going to bring someone into the group. We genuinely think they're going to improve as a team and as a group, and that's what we're trying to do. So we've got some things that we're working on, and that will continue over the next few days.
I think previously you mentioned that you were looking at a couple of players in League Two. Is it more likely to be League Two players that you want to bring up to this level, or will it be players in and around this level or above that are not getting football that you think might fancy some more game time and would benefit your squad?
Yeah, I think both. We're looking at one lad in the conference that we really like. We're looking at one in League Two now, not 2, and we're looking at a couple of league above us. So 3-4 players is what we're thinking of coming in. Maybe we have to lose 1 or 2 along the way to make the numbers balance. And of course, when some players that are not getting a lot of football come in, they want to play, no different to the lads above. They want to play. So we have to manage that as well. So the one thing I know is that we won't be spending a penny more than we're spending at the minute in terms of if you annualise the budget, so to speak, because our chairman says in these times we quite rightfully need to be prudent more than ever.
For sure. That's lovely. Thank you very much, and best of luck at Northampton, mate.
Cheers, bud.
Thanks, Ben. We've only got 6 minutes on the clock, so I'm going to hand straight over to Luke. It's all yours, mate.
Hello, Steve. I don't know if you can see me, or hopefully you can hear me.
I can hear you, mate. Yeah, loud and clear.
When you're mentioning the January transfer market and stuff, are you looking at maybe buying players, or is it just sort of free transfers and loans, or what sort of?
Yeah, I think in these times it's very difficult to buy players. I think our chairman would put the hand in his pocket if he felt it was someone young who could become an asset and it was going to be lots of money. I think we would always look at that. But I think we have to live in the real world. We don't sit there, we spare money to be going and spend it on transfer fees and signing players, especially in these times. So, but my job is to present the options to a chairman, present the players that I like, and him and Tom would go off and see if it can be done. Primarily led by our chairman, who after 26 years as chairman at his club knows everyone in football.
You're right. You mentioned some of the players that were at Northampton. Marshall, one of them, a player that you had recently at Gillingham. Do you always expect a bit more from a player against you when he's got a point to prove?
Well, I don't think Marshall's got a point to prove. I think we gave him a 6-month contract. Marshall was frustrated at not playing, that's for sure, and Keith loved him. So that was an easier one for Marshall to take. Ricky Holmes was here prior to Meekham then, but of course never got onto the field because of his injury. Ricky's back playing now. Always been a real good player against me. But Keane Bolger, another top centre back, Danny Rozak. I could go through the team. We've been analysing it for the last couple of days. But so they've got lots of players. But does it give someone an extra spark if they played against you? I think it might do if they've been with you a long time and you've not taken them with you if you went up the ladders, so to speak. But no, I don't think any of the lads that's on that pitch would anything to prove to me. Marshall's a good player. Rose is a good player. They're the ones that's primarily played for me.
Okay. And touched on the COVID situation as well. How as a club are you managing to steer clear of it? 'Cause I mean, I think 6 games off at Boxing Day, weren't they? seems to be infecting quite a bit.
I think, look, the answer is we're being ruthless in what we're trying to do. We're ruthless in following the protocols laid down by the EFL, and probably on top of that, at the insistence of myself, then we have probably stricter rules than what the EFL have. You know, anyone who's got a smattering of anything that remotely looks like the virus, as in a cold or something like that, is we isolate them or left at home, and it's to be a detriment for training some days, playing some days when we've had to go short with people. But we'll continue to take that approach until we're through this pandemic.
Then the argument I saw was who tested, who's going to pay us. It's the same sort of thing at the minute, is it?
Sorry, I missed that, Luke.
Is the issue at the minute, like, you want to be tested, but who is going to pay for it?
Yeah, I think, listen, I think we test, we've got carte blanche with our chairman. We test anyone that we feel that is our medical staff downstairs, and myself, our chairman, anyone that we feel that in our building and in our bubble that has got any concerns, we test them immediately. But we can't do it en masse. You wouldn't do it en masse when there's no symptoms. Same as we wouldn't put the cost on the NHS. We wouldn't put the cost on our chairman to say test 30 people every day or every week at £200 a time each. So what we need to do is we just need to sit back and look and say, right, if someone has an issue or a family member has an issue, then we exclude them until such times as we do test them. But we've often been described as elite. We're not elite, but you know, the group was last paid for by the EFL and tested in October. So we're not elite, all by our own chairman paying out of his own pocket, then we don't get tested as a rule. So I know there is a round of testing ordered by the EFL for early January, which everyone will take part on. And but the sooner we get these vaccines in place and get everyone vaccinated, not just footballers, everyone, all our families, then we can get back to really enjoying the job and the industry that we love.
Can you foresee a bit of disruption when, I think it's January 6th, is it, when you have this test?
Yeah, listen, I think there's no hidden secret. When you do mass testing, you're going to get more positive readings. It's a simple calculation, and there is that many players, for example, throughout who won't show a symptom. They're sublimely fit. They won't show a symptom in it, and they're carrying the virus. So, from our point of view, I think that might show in the EFL there's more people positive than is stated at the minute, but we have to deal with it. We may have it in our own camp, but we have to deal with it as it comes.
Okay, I'll pass on then, Steve. Thanks very much for your time.
Take care, pal.
Good night.
Thanks, Luke. I think we've got 1 minute, so Mike, you might just squeeze in the question if you're lucky.
Three-barrel question at you, Steve. Do you fear a complete shutdown? Is it tougher now than it was at the start of the pandemic? And how much do you feel for the supporters not having the escape you had on Boxing Day?
Okay, mate. Well, I don't fear for a shutdown. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we've got enough people playing football unless this virus continues to spiral. But I think with the vaccine coming at the time it's coming up, we hope it doesn't. I remember your third question. Is it more than our second question? Is it more difficult? Is it more difficult now? Yes, I think it is, especially in Medway, especially in Kent, because the virus is, as we all know, is doubling overnight almost on a daily basis. It's incredible.